Hey, my craft lover. Welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be making this tote bag. It's a very simple one. It's just one cut and then you're done. All right, it's going to be very easy. All we need is some denim fabric, and for me, I'm using this leftovers. I used this particular one to make some bags, and this is the remaining one. And over here we don't discard fabric, we use them to make accessories. So yes, I'm making good use of this one. So I'm just trying to ensure that I have a very straight fabric right from the leftover, and ensuring that I don't waste any parts. All right, so for the measurement, I used the measurement of 13 inches because this is how wide this one was. So just ensure to draw straight, like follow the trace the line straight so that I can get a straight fabric. So I went on to just cut it off, and then let's move on to the next. When I was done with cutting it off, I had this part that was, still lying around. I cannot waste it as well. So I thought about using it to make the design on it. I'll just fold it in like this, fold it both sides, and attach it to the fabric. Like it's going to be like this when I'm done sewing it. So after that, I went on to cut my handles. For the handles, I used a measurement of 18 inches and then by 4 inches, and I have two of this. Now, please pay attention. If you want to make your handle, if you want it to be to be long, you should increase the length. If you want it to be shorter, you should also decrease or reduce the length. Now, but for the width, I always ensure to maintain 4 inches. So that I have enough. I need to fold this into four different parts by one inches. So this is what it's going to look like. Now I'm going to give this a good press so that it stays down. I do this for any fabric I'm using, whether Ankara, satin, any fabric at all I'm using. Same thing applies with leather. When I'm using leather, I also do the same thing. I just go ahead, and then for fabrics, I go ahead and just press it down with iron so that it stays in place. Another option that I use to make my handles, if I don't want to, do this, right, I get to use belts, right? I get to use belts inside it. This way, I I ensured, or this way I get to have something that is really tiny, right? The handle is going to be the same 1 inch with the belt. I noticed that when I don't use belt like this and then I just sew, especially with Ankara, if I don't even use gum stay, if I don't put belts inside like this, it doesn't give me this exact 1 inch. Somehow it's going to be bending and all that. So to avoid that, I get to use belts inside. But yes, another option that you can just use gum stay. Use a strong gum stay to get what you want. Iron it to your fabric. If it's Ankara, iron to fabric, and then you're good to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew the handle. That's the first thing I want to begin with. I'm going to close the handle, and I'm going to sew on both sides. You can sew on one side where you're closing and just leave it like that, or you can, sew close one side and still sew with that part. I can really, really, really stay down, right? So when I'm done with sewing, I'm going to show you the. Now I want to go ahead and sew that attachment, that extra fabric I cut that I want to do like a design on the fabric. I'm going to go ahead and sew that part. So I'm going to be measuring 3 inches to the left and 3 inches on the right, right? I'm going to measure just 3 inches to the left and 3 inches on the right. Um, when I'm done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and attach the fabric, the extra fabric here, folding it like I showed you earlier on. I'm going to ensure that I follow the line. These 3 inches that I measured, I'm going to ensure that I also measure it down, like measure it to where this thing is going to end. This is not going around the entire back. I just want it to be on one side, right? Because the fabric is not so long. So I'm just going to go ahead, use my measuring tape to measure 3 inches till I get to the point where I want it to stop, right? What After I'm done with this, I'll do this for the second part, and then hold it down, take it to the sewing machine, and just top stitch on it, right? I'm done with that part. The next thing I want to attach is my handle. And from the beginning of the fabric, I'm now going to measure 4 inches, right? 4 inches to the right and 4 inches on the left, right? This is where I'm going to be attaching my handle. Now I'm just going to pick up the handle, right? And where I have the mark, I'm going to place it in like on the line, like it's going to be like in between, right? It's going to be in between. This is what I mean. I hope you're seeing that. But I'm placing it directly on the line where I have the mark. So the mark is in between the handle, right? So I'll do this for the other part as well. Then I'll show you the next part. All right. So the next part, I'm going to fold the top by 1 inch, right? Just like this. I'm going to fold this by 1 inch. Then for the handle, I'm going to also fold it back up. You know, this is denim, so it's going to be very strong. If you're using size 18 needle, you might have to change it to size 23, right, so that it sews perfectly. So I'm going to top stitch on this. Then for the handle, like I said, I'm going to bend it over, like bend it to the top, to the front, so that it stands upright. And I'm also going to top stitch that. Just watch, right? You'll be able to get what I'm trying to explain. When I'm done top stitching the hand, like I said, I'm going to go on to put my clip. I want this bag to have a clip. I don't want it to be completely open, even though it's an open bag, but I want it to have clip. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that clip before I top stitch. Just go ahead and watch, and you'll be able to follow through what I'm trying to explain. Alright, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure the middle, where the handle begins and where it ends, and I will get the midpoint, which is 2 inches for this one. I'm going to go ahead and just use my puncher or my scissors to make little hole, two tiny holes, like very tiny. Don't overcut the fabric. If not, you're going to be spoiling your bag. Just two tiny holes, big enough to allow the foot of this clip to pass through it, right? And I'm just going to put the back that helps it to stay in place, and then I'm going to just push it down so it stays in place. And I'm done fixing my hook. I will do the same thing for the other side. And when we are done fixing the handle, then you can go on to top stitch that 1 inch folding that you did. You have your top, right? You have your top completely done neatly. Now we have succeeded with that. The next thing we want to do is to close our bag, right? We're done with this bag actually. You just go ahead and close it. Just put it together, ensure that everything is equal, everything is neat. Go ahead and just sew it through. When you're done sewing, you turn over. For this one, you don't need a line, you don't need lining, right? That's why I didn't get to use lining. Now, this is how to finish it off so that it doesn't show and look rough inside. Now, see, when I turn it over, right? Of course, where I joined is still going to be showing. I know I did not use lining to turn this bag. Some clients will not want that. They don't want their bags looking rough inside, which is very understandable. So what I get to do right? What I get to do is that I top stitch the edge, right? See this place, I don't want it to show. So I'll go ahead and top stitch the edge just by with using 0.5 inches. I'll go ahead and just top stitch the edge using 0.5 inches. I'm sorry, my hand is covering this. I didn't even realize that. But I'll use 0.5 inches to, top stitch this down. When you're done with top stitching, the last part is to iron your bag and it is ready. It is ready. Does this apply to Ankara? I would say no, unless you're using an Ankara fabric that is really strong and not just lightweight, right? But this applies to leather bags. It applies to denim. You can use taffeta. You can still do this for taffeta. You can use this for what's it called? Any other kind of strong material. If you have to use Ankara, it means that you have to iron your gum stay to it and also use a lining. Now when you use your lining, you can still go ahead and top stitch the end part if you want to. Our tote bag is ready, and yes, you can give this to your clients as an extra, or you can also carry it. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and see you in the next one. Bye.